Hi, this is Jason Romero, first and only blind person to run across the United States and keynote speaker on adversity and resilience. I'm coming to you today from the inside of my tent, a little bit of a different setting. Over here you can see my backpack, some different stuff, my shoes over here, and anyway, I'm on the inside of a tent, and I'm going to get to why I'm coming to you from the inside of the tent, because I want to talk to you about my second book, The Success Cycle. And so the reason I'm coming to you from inside the tent and under these conditions, a little windy outside, you can probably hear the tent blowing around. I had a dream, and that is what the Success Cycle is all about having a dream and how you transform that into a reality. So many years ago, I have 3 children. I had the dream of taking each one of my kids on a trip, a one-on-one trip with me, so they would have that memory with their father. Well, I went on a trip with my youngest daughter. We went to the Camino de Santiago, did a pilgrimage in Spain, and I went on a trip with my son, and he wanted to go to a place where there was a lot of food and the beach and the ocean. We went to an all-inclusive vacation down in Mexico. And now my final trip with my oldest child, she wanted to go on an international hiking trip, so we are actually going to go to hike in Corsica. I know, tremendous. I don't know how I was able to do all this stuff, but somehow, some way it's coming together. But with my final trip with my oldest daughter, she wanted to go hiking in Corsica on something called the GR20. It's one of the toughest hiking trails in Europe, or that's the way it's marketed anyway, or known. We're not going to end up doing the whole thing because we're going at a time when there can be snow and some of the refugios aren't open, but I've never been on a THRU-HIKE backpacking trip before, so we'll probably need to use shelter in a tent, and that all goes into where I'm coming to you today and talking about the Success Cycle, because the Success Cycle, my second book, talks about how when you have a dream, which is an intangible thought, how you manifest that into reality. And this process is 100% the Success Cycle. And it goes through having a dream, having adversities, sizing that adversity to move adversity from being overwhelming to manageable in your mind, re-engineering adversity, creating a plan, adapting, imagining and improvising, innovating, then executing that plan, failing and picking yourself up after failure and readapting, re-engineering, and then finally accomplishing your goal. I haven't gotten there yet, but I am definitely in that process today. So today what I did was I came out to the park, and I figured over in Corsica, it rains a lot, there's a lot of wind, we're in exposed terrain, and I have this tent, but I haven't pitched it in that type of condition. So today in Colorado is pretty windy. I met a friend for a coffee, and I decided instead of Ubering back to my home, I would bring my backpack with my tent and try to pitch it. Well, it was perfect Success Cycle process, because when I first started to pitch the tent, I had put out the foot mat, and hopefully I have some images up here on the screen for you, but I tried to put out the footing, a tarp to protect the tent from any protrusions. That blew away, got blown all over the place. And I tried to put the tent down, it blew all over. It was a totally failed attempt at trying to do this tent. I made mistakes, blowing all over the place, packing up. I got to the point where I was just giving up and gonna pack it up and go home, and I could barely put the tent back in my backpack. Well, when I was doing that, I found stakes in some of the gear for the tent. An experienced camper would know to use that. Well, I had failed at that point. I had hit the crux. I was in the resilience loop, in failure. I had pain, fear, all the different things that are discussed in the Success Cycle. I got stronger, smarter. I decided to readapt my plan, use the stakes, stake down the footbed, stake down the inner liner, and then the final top tarp. And with those stakes, I was able to actually successfully pitch the tent. I found some stakes in the packaging right here. So I didn't decide to pack up. I actually staked at the ground, and now I'm gonna have a lot better luck. Let's see how much further. I can't believe it. I got the tent up. in the windstorm. Staked in, and it appears to be pretty steady. And this is after about packing it in and saying I was done. But it looks like it can hold up. See inside. And it took me full circle through the success cycle. Now, this is a process. This is how things are done. And it could be as small as pitching a tent. It could also be trying to execute and have one-on-one trips with all three of your kids, and it happens across years, time span, across countries. It could also be as simple as trying to get a promotion, trying to run a marathon, trying to get healthier, anything. It is how we succeed. And one thing that's very important that I want to tell you about the success cycle in this process is we all engage in this process. And on the screen now is like a cloud of success. These are all the parts and processes of success. There's all these words that's jumbled, and we experience them as we're going out to try to do something, but we don't understand how they all fit together. And that is the beauty of the success cycle. This is how they fit together. And I've taken over 3 years, and it's been over 52 years of my life to try to synthesize and simplify this. And I believe I have in this book. It's a one-day read, if that, probably 80, 90 pages. There's a workbook included in this as well. But if you're interested in learning how success happens and you want to go after something larger, if you know somebody who's going after something large, pick up a copy of the Success Cycle, give this a read through. I don't know everything, but I do know something, and I believe there's at least one nugget in here that can help you get from point A to point B and transform a dream into reality. I know you've done it before. I know you're capable of doing it, but if you get stuck, you're going after something real big, novel, pick this thing up. There's some great knowledge in here. This is Jason from the inside of his tent in City Park, Colorado in a windstorm. You got this. Onward. If it doesn't challenge you, it is not going to change you. And sometimes we need to proactively put challenge in our lives.